Gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream. Are you a dream or reality? We are all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Join us for the moment we call now. Rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration.
Hello, hello. Yes, must be Thursday again because here I am on your screen. It's the live stream of consciousness. You are either intentionally here to join in and raise the vibration, or you maybe accidentally came across this. But either way, I'm asking you for a favor right as we begin to just type into the comments hashtag live if you're here. If it's Thursday, May 8th and 9 p.m., then you're live. You're watching live. If it's not that time, then you're watching the replay. Just type in hashtag replay. That helps the algorithm know that something's tickling it, and people should check it out. And it helps me, and it grows the community. The community has been really growing amazingly. It's really cool to see. I see Helen. I see Ninja Kitty. I see Tim out there. Everybody's here, ready to go. Cool. Also, the audio platforms, I kind of been on Podcast Playground. They distribute the show after it goes live as a podcast on the audio platforms, and it seems like there's a lot of people downloading the show. So I'm just kind of, if you're listening on the audio platforms, say hello to me, drop me an email or something just to let me know, because I love the numbers that are happening. I love the way that this is growing. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. I wanted to talk about this show and this platform and what I'm doing here for a minute. I was on an interview this morning on Lara Starr's Coffee with the Collective. She does a show every morning. And it just hit me that I love the people who are using this platform, this video platform, to connect humanity instead of divide humanity, right? There's so much division on social media and, all of this stuff going on. And it's really nice to be a part of this intentional movement of people. And I'm a fan of watching some other people's shows. This show is a little different. This show is live, so you guys can interact. I can pop up your comments, like Nancy's out there saying hello. I appreciate Nancy being here. But some of the shows that I watch, let me just pop up a banner real quick. I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the shows I watch, right? I watch this amazing woman she's Norwegian, and she has a show called Wisdom from North. And basically it's like this show. It's a lot of amazing guests, amazing conversations, connection, people holding up their piece of the puzzle, right? Everybody connects to source differently and receives it and expresses it differently, and kind of saying, hey, here's my piece. How does this fit with your piece? And that's what I'm doing here, and that's what these shows do. So Wisdom from North is one very inspiring show that I love to watch. Another one is Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrari. Again, some freaking amazing guests and amazing conversations. The insight from this people is just amazing. It's just so much energy. We talk about energy here all the time, and it's just, you get an energetic connection to these things when you listen. Another one is Third Eye Drops with Michael Phillip. And again, he had an amazing conversation yesterday about disclosure and aliens, and just kind of in such a like a loving way, not like a conspiracy way or fear or anger or any of that. It was just like a open-minded conversation, and I just love it. The last one I want to recommend is Acid for Squares. Now that is a friend of mine, Cody Snyder. You guys know that I started this show with Jesse Snyder, but Jesse's brother Cody, the Snyder family is really amazing. He was a filmmaker, or he is a filmmaker, and he was just in Hollywood, and he was also experiencing some things with plant medicine and things that he couldn't really talk about comfortably, and he just decided to go for it. And he has some amazing guests. He has an episode where he has Bashar, Daryl Anka in his studio, and they have an interview with Daryl Anka, and I was just like, "Holy crap, you met Bashar!" But just amazing stuff. I think my audience would appreciate. So I just wanted to share that really quickly with you guys, and check it out if you're interested. Also, it's that moment. I think I've got to just go into my audio settings here real quick. I don't know what I'm sounding like. Okay, my echo is off. My settings are correct for me to do it, to clear the space, the Sonic Sage. So let's do it. This bowl is phenomenal. Lavender Lightning, somebody named it. I asked people to come up with a name, but this bowl is phenomenal. It responds to just my voice when it's across the room and I'm talking. I could hear it ringing out. So let's just clear the space. Let's just take a deep breath in through your nose and feel it come in your nose and process it. I don't know how much that comes through. I hope it does. When I turn off the echo cancellation, it's still ringing out. It's just such an amazing thing. I'm so fascinated with cymatics and sound and the way that stuff is working these days and the information they're finding out about it. All right, let me turn my audio settings back to reduce the noise. You probably heard a difference in volume, so adjust yourself and get ready for an incredible conversation. Tonight's guest is actually a friend of mine. I have history with this guy, but he's also an inspiration, somebody whose work just blows me away. It seems like everything he touches is gold. He just has such a understanding of everything that he produces, everything that he creates. But also, it's interesting because I know that his wife and a good friend of his were actually at my sister's bat mitzvah. Now, I don't know if he knows that or if he was there, because I don't know if I ever looked for him on the tape, but I've seen that myself. So we may talk about that. It's another interesting connection, 1 degree of separation. But my guest tonight is an award-winning videographer and cinematographer and producer of content. And just the reason I thought that he'd be a good guest here is because I feel like he's an example of somebody who just kind of got it and understood that he was here on this planet to be himself, unapologetically, authentically, and just do what he loves. Like Bashar always says, you know, what lights you up. And I think that he does it in such a way that, again, everything that he produces is amazing because he's really, really connected to it. And so I came across him recently. He's in the middle of a big project that I'm gonna, you know, I don't know how much he wants to talk about, so I'll find out. We'll find out. But he expressed some things in documenting it about manifestation and that were spiritual philosophies. And again, it's not somebody who necessarily goes through life practicing all of these things, but is connected to it. And without further ado, because I'm babbling like I always do, welcome to the live stream of consciousness, Randy Scott Slavin. What's happening?
How you doing?
Did I pronounce that right? Have I been pronouncing that right for years? Is it Slavin or Slavin?
Slavin, long A.
Slavin. Okay.
You know, you.
I've probably pronounced it both ways, but now I'll remember, now that I formally asked you. So welcome to my show, man. Thank you for making time for me. I know you're a busy man, but I've been wanting to talk to you in general. And then again, when I saw your recent video, I was like, oh, this is going to be great for a live stream of consciousness. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Lots to live up to based on your kind intro.
You know what? All you had to do was show up. I'm sure you're going to live up to all of it because it's all you. It's all you. But I do have to initiate you here on my show. And that is, I always ask a question. It may hit you like a bat, but I know you'll know how to just let go and answer it. And this is the live stream of consciousness. I love these conversations. What is consciousness? What are we even talking about? What's consciousness?
With consciousness, I don't know, a bunch of neurons just firing in some wacky way. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I can get down with you on a lot of different kind of things that I believe that ultimately I don't really fucking know. I think that Um, it seems like there's got to be something that kind of we all agree on, in that like we come back to some kind of state that we can all semi agree on.
Hmm.
So I don't know precisely, but I know for sure that we are lucky to be experiencing it, because it's cold and dark out there in space, and the fact that we happen to have any moments of consciousness on this planet, this rock hurtling through the darkness, is a gift,
Mm.
especially now. You know,
Hmm.
it seems like less 2025 recently than before, but really, if you look at it kind of like historically on this planet, like especially now, I mean, like we happen to be in a very lucky kind of like Goldilocks type spot,
Hmm.
even considering all of the general turmoil that's going on in the country.
In what way? What do you see as this Goldilocks situation outside of the turmoil, and the general narrative?
I mean, I think that like survival on this planet is extremely challenging and has always been,
Hmm. Hmm.
regardless of the kind of thoughts of how beautiful kind of things were in the past or whatever. I mean, like ultimately, life on this planet is forged of challenge and survival of the fittest, and regardless of the politics in the country right now and the division and all this other kind of stuff that's going on, it's like, you know, life is pretty good for a lot of people, and even the poorest among us have a certain level of lifestyle that's way well beyond, kind of like most of what has been experienced on this planet before.
Sure.
Whether you were being hunted by other humans or animals or whatever. And by the way, that's, I mean, the survival of animals on this planet that live around us is still like that, aside from the creatures that we harbor as pets. I mean, like,
Hmm.
squirrels are out there running around, but like,
Sure.
they are being hunted by birds, and they are
Right.
trying to survive every day and fighting with other squirrels. I mean, that's just real. And it's like,
Right. Right. I get you. That's the existence. That's the nature of their existence. Where as humans, we've created these comforts, and we're able to. I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, we are certainly in an amazing space, and I'm kind of. It's interesting to have you in this conversation, right? Because I feel like I said in the introduction, I feel like you don't necessarily consciously navigate your life like with meditation and I don't know this because we don't talk really that much, but with this conscious this I keep using that word, with this idea of thinking about like what is consciousness, right? To me you're an example of somebody who's just directly connected to it. And to me consciousness is everything, right? It's the source energy of existence is consciousness. And I don't know what your beliefs are as far as the non-physical realms, spirits and things like that. I'm imagining that you've had some experience, with all the different people that you meet, and the different things that you do. I don't know where your beliefs are in that. That's usually my next question, right? Because usually I have a guest on who's a psychic medium or somebody who is, it's more obvious to me that they're where they stand with their beliefs of anything outside of the 3D realm. And I don't know where you stand with that. Where do you stand with that? Where do you stand with existence in the 3D and the possibility of anything outside of the 3D?
um, I first of all, I meditate. I do TM. Uh,
Awesome.
I started doing it July of last year. Um, I find it to be one of the most transformative things I've done, in terms of almost more kind of just harnessing and focusing my own attention and mind.
Hmm.
Um, I think that you know, I think that we as humans exist on a very kind of like specific spectrum. You know, we can only see so much of the visible spectrum. We can only hear so much of the auditory spectrum. And I don't really know that. I mean, I think we can imagine it all, or we can have ideas about what those things are. And maybe some people are more plugged in than others. And I'm not one to really kind of like discount that kind of stuff. I haven't really had too many like experiences with that kind of stuff, and I don't want to take it off the table because I just, you know, it's just not. I just don't know enough to do that. Sorry, my dog is at the bottom.
That's okay. No, that's okay. It's not too loud.
But what I would like to say is that what I don't like is I don't like religious dogma. That's for sure.
Okay.
I do think that our minds are very much primed to kind of like see and connect with certain things. And I think that some of that is through evolution. I think that, you know, pattern recognition and synchronicity and things like that, I think you can either see that or not see that in life around you. And to the degree to which that exists, I don't know. All I know is that when I'm paying attention to the synchronicities around me, I like it better. You know, if I could choose a world in which there's magic, especially magic that's conspiring in my favor, I would prefer that to the opposite. So, you know, I'm definitely not a nihilist. I also don't feel like I'm going to be punished for, you know, for my lack of piety.
Right. Well, that's the religious dogma that you're saying you don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that I think that's great. I think that this is where I want to go with the conversation, right? I want to kind of feel you out and where your beliefs are, and you know, what you said about not ruling it out, right? And what you said about it's very important to me to not discount somebody else's experience, right? Like if somebody tells me that they spoke to the Galactic Council, maybe I think it's a little weird, maybe I don't understand it, but I'm not going to tell them no, you didn't. You know what I mean? Because like you said, I don't know enough. Am I going to be like, oh my God, they spoke to the Galactic Council? No, I'm not going to be like that either. You know what I mean? I have my own experiences, and I'm going to take it in how it resonates with me, you know? And I think, you know, I've been pretty fortunate to experience some things and to, you know, make my own conclusions about the things that I've seen. I've been around a lot of psychic mediums and people who claim to channel other beings, and to me, it all resonates of the same vibration. It all resonates of source. It all resonates of, okay, that's that person's way of receiving source and their way of expressing source. And I feel like, you know, it's all about perspective, and everybody's got their own. That's my belief about why we're here, right? We're here to experience and have our own perspective, unique to everybody else's. But this
sometimes,
show,
I mean, I don't know that they're all unique to everybody else's. And I don't really know that I believe really that there's that much more to what's going on here, you know? It'd be cool if there was, but I think that I kind of have a little bit of a nihilistic point of view about life. But I think that I take it so far that I think it's actually beautiful, and that, like, kind of like what I said earlier, I think, you know, it's like if there is nothing else, and if we happen to be a combination of cells, and as a species and as a planet and all the different things that have happened here, if they're just by accident, if it's just, which I actually do kind of believe, I do believe that, then the fact that we are experiencing some consciousness here and can even think about any of this shit is beautiful. You know, I don't think that it's nihilistic to believe that that there is nothing bigger than that. I mean, of course there is, because if you look around us, it is way bigger than that, you know? But it's okay to be an accident too, you know?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Experience, you know, that's a beautiful little piece of it, you know?
Sure. And I think it's also all right not to necessarily be a nihilist, but to just be like, I don't I don't need to think about it, right? Like when I'm gone, and I'll deal with it then, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, and I respect that as well. I'm personally fascinated by the conversations because I love to hear everybody's different story and different perspective of it. I mean, it's certainly interesting to me that talking to people about near death experiences, and there are these similarities between them, and again, evidence of other realms. And then it's interesting to me that in quantum science, the things that are happening, talk about such abstract concepts like superposition, that how do we understand that in existing in 3D, in three dimensions, all our whole existence, and really understanding existence based on being 3D. How do we understand anything outside of that? I personally love those conversations. And again, it's cool, like, to not, and I think that that's a part of why you are who you are, right? Because I think you are hyper focused on whatever vibration you came here with as Randy, to be Randy, and you are committed to fulfilling that. And especially right now in this moment, with in the middle of this project that you're in the middle, I was blown away by the energy and the things that you're saying. And I've got to tell you, I believe 100%, and I don't say believe, I usually say no. I know 100% that the things that you're looking to happen will happen, because the energy that you're putting into it is pure and it's authentic. And I know that sounds woo-woo, Randy, and I don't like the woo-woo aspect of all of these things that I love to talk about. I don't like that woo-woo aspect, and I don't just give it into, it's magic. But again, in my experience, I've seen enough evidence that intrigues me to explore it more and have conversations. So I mean, I've had Flat Earth Dave on my show, and the reason I wanted to talk to Flat Earth Dave is because I wanted to find common ground with him. I don't subscribe to Flat Earth. I'm heliocentric, or whatever he calls me. But we're both human beings, right? And I had seen him on so many shows getting blasted, and people just like not treating him like a human. I wanted to find common ground, and we were able to. He said, and this may be similar to you, right? And it may be not. You may be more nihilistic, but he said he does believe that we have a soul that is eternal, and it's outside of this three-dimensional existence. So he believes that there is something after we die, and our energy continues on in some other form. And again, that was the common ground, because I believe that too. I don't know, again, it almost sounds like you may not believe that, but it's like, that's not what I'm here to even talk about, Randy. I want to celebrate.
Let me be clear on that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't believe that the energy just doesn't disappear, right? But that being said, I think that there's a certain amount of egocentric kind of piece of certain beliefs that I think are funny.
Okay.
I don't mean to laugh at people, but I just mean it's just so like a hairless ape flying through a rock, that's living on a rock that's hurtling through space, to feel like the world is all about them, or that they know everything about everything that's going on, and they understand, and that they are going to continue as if they are more important than an ant that they squish on the way to work as they walk out of their door.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I just don't have that much ego, and I just really just don't believe that,
Right.
And I think that like every day above ground is I mean, it's no easier for me than I feel like for many other people, but I mean, like, it's certainly, easy or tough, it's still a blessing. And I just don't, what I kind of think about consciousness and the idea of it, like soul and continuing and all that kind of stuff, is I don't remember my previous life or lives. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
Neither do I.
that it doesn't matter whether I'm coming back or not, because it only really matters to this body whether Randy is coming back again and can like visit with my daughter.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right after I disappear, right
Mm-hmm.
after I leave the planet. It doesn't matter whether I come back as Frank from Hoboken,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember that, whether I was Joan of Arc or whoever. And it's like, so therefore, does it matter whether you come back again or whether your soul lives on? It really
Sure.
only kind of matters what you're doing here, you
Sure.
know?
Sure.
It only matters really whether you are enjoying this, with Jim Morrison getting your kicks before the whole shithouse goes up in flames, or whether you're making other people's lives better, or whether you're making art that other people enjoy, or whether you're just having a good time for yourself and fuck everybody else. Whatever it is that the personal philosophy is, it's like the idea that I'm going to continue again. It doesn't really matter, because unless you remember that, unless you are tied to that in some kind of a way, does it matter? Like, I'm for real. It's
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No. No. Sure. I mean, I'm not. I wasn't specifically referring to reincarnation as far as like, energy coming back. You actually just said it. If you, I don't even want to talk about it this way, but like if you were to pass, to come back to communicate with your daughter, to somehow still be able to, in a non-physical form, connect with her essence. I mean, so I don't know if you have experienced anybody who's passed on and felt their essence in a dream, or in thoughts. Like, a lot of times I see people who are suffering in grief, and they're having a particularly hard day and they're crying, and for me, I try to explain to them the way I see it, right? To try to make it a little easier. And the way that I see it is that thought in their head, them missing that person. Oh my God, my father, I miss my father so much. That thought is his essence. That is his energy. It's a part of you. And again, maybe I'm making the words all nice to make myself feel better about it, and I loved what you said about ego, right? Like, I'm not trying to pretend I know everything about everything, but I do hear what you're saying, right? Kind of thinking these things helps me. And I know a lot of people who really fear death, right? And I think that it affects their lives, right? They live in fear certain ways, and it's like it kind of takes away. And I think for me, not being afraid of death, knowing that, okay, that's just another chapter, or feeling that believing that allows me to kind of live my life a little bit more peacefully, and I think everybody's got to do what they've got to do, kind of like you said, to make it easy. It's not easy. Space is hard and cold, right? But I think part of my philosophy, and part of what I'm doing, and part of what I'm trying to show, and I say this often, is we're all in this together, right? I mean, as human beings on a planet, whether we like it or not, we can say, oh no, we're not in this together, we're in different countries and shit like that. But essentially, we're all in this together. And if we could all look at it that way, and treat each other that way, I mean, that would be the utopia, right? That would be amazing. Let everybody do what they want to do and support them. And so I feel like, that's kind of why I was drawn to do this, to be able to just bring connection and support, and love, and non-judgment, right, to people. I mean, like I said, I have conversations with, trans to people who have relationships with dolls, you know what I mean? Just like all sorts of things, just because I want to understand, I don't want to judge. I want to be like, okay, how does that happen? What does that even mean? You know what I mean? So that's how I kind of tripped into the show. But we're like already a half an hour into it, and I haven't even begun to like do what I want to do. I put myself in a little bit of a production nightmare here, just wanting to share a bunch of things of your work. I've been so inspired by you for such a long time. I mean, I think one of the first things I saw that you did was group sounds. You were in a band, and you put together an incredible video. And again, I think it's definitely indicative of you and your vision, how odd it might be. You know, and I didn't want to play that one. I brought up a bunch of other things to play. But the video actually takes place inside of a girl, right? And to put it nicely, and it's just this amazing song about teenage love, and the video takes you through this whole process, and then eventually you realize, oh my God, I'm actually seeing the band playing inside of this girl. And it's, you're gonna have to go to Randy's page. Oh, let me switch up my banners here. Let me turn off those banners and put your website up. I'm gonna show a little bit of your website. But all right, so let's tell your story, okay? Let me tell it as I know it, and I want you to respond and give me the story behind it, right? So I think for you, you were this video guy. You were doing some cool things. That was one cool project that you did. You also did that rocket vid that I told you I was looking for. I finally did find that, which was like, at the time, it was kind of like an MTV-ish style, you know, real world live thing. It was really awesome. But I think when I saw things really change for you, it had to be the Washington Square Park video that you did. And just to explain to people, what year was that? Do you remember?
No, 2013. It was just the drone shot.
The drone shot, yeah. That kind of, yeah. I think that to me that was kind of a launching moment, in a pivotal moment. Let's not say launching, because you were already doing some amazing stuff, but I think it was pivotal because nobody was flying drones really. It was like a hobby thing to do. You were flying drones, you were building your own drones. There was no regulations that stopped you from going in New York City and flying your drone around, because you had just built it. And you took this amazing footage. I couldn't find that. I don't know if you could tell me where that is, but you took this shot going through the arch at Washington Square Park. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, somehow it was picked up by the news. You put it on YouTube and it became viral. Everyone was like, oh, look how cool this is, because aerial visuals were not commonplace at the time. It was like, it was really cinematic and really cool to see. And it was picked up on the news. And then from there, it's like you were able to weave your own story. You were able to kind of create your own life. And this is why I'm inspired by you. So you were looking for a film festival to submit that drone footage to. You had this great footage. You just wanted to submit it, and you couldn't find a film festival that really had a good drone category, or that, you know, there wasn't a place for it. So what did you do? You made a place for it. And again, this is what's so inspirational. You created the New York City Drone Film Festival, right? And I probably didn't need to even have you here. I could have just told your story. No, but I like having you here. You created this film festival, and I think why I think that was pivotal for you was because the industry was so young that you were able to kind of just say, hey, I'm one of the leaders of the industry. I'm an industry leader. And you manifested that. You literally manifested your own place in the space, so to speak. And what I think was so cool about that is here we are today, and I'm just going to pop up your website. That has given you the opportunity to do things like this. You actually did drone footage for a live broadcast. Was that a live broadcast for Post Malone?
No, that was actually a pre-record, but yeah, I mean, like, what's cool about that, aside from the drone stuff, and by the way, I did fly that little FPV drone around Post Malone, which was just totally nuts to do that, to fly a drone so close to somebody that's like that big a star. But I also produced that entire video, which is honestly, you know, it's funny because while we're talking about consciousness, and, you know, it's like you put me up on this pedestal, which I appreciate. I mean, like, I'm at this point in my life where, like, I'll take, you know, whenever somebody wants to tell me that I'm great, I'm like, okay, cool. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's not how I experience all this shit, just so that everybody knows. Like, let me be clear that it's like, I don't walk around all day, like, thinking about that. It's quite the opposite. I see all my shortcomings, and I'm constantly just fighting, shoveling shit against the tide when it comes down to my own understanding of what it is that I want to do. When I think about the drone film festival and the drone, all that stuff, I mean, like, there are days I certainly appreciate it, and I use it to make money, and at least on the drone services side now. But I mean, like, I have my days where I'm just like, I like moved away from my feature film desires as a younger person to work on this side project. And it's like, okay, cool. It brought me a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it's like, that was not really necessarily the dream. It was just something I was interested in. I've always kind of loved toys.
Sure.
I remember as like a kid, just like always, I mean, what kid doesn't love toys? I don't, it sounds so stupid when I say it out loud, but
no, but you had an affinity for certain types of gadgets, and
when I saw drones, I just came into the understanding of what they were. To me, I was just like, wow, this is awesome. And I allowed myself to take that tangent. I took that ball and I ran with it because I just understood what, from a director's mindset, kind of like what that could be.
Yeah.
And when I look back at it, I definitely appreciate it. It's been able to help me make money over the years, and it's brought me a lot of really interesting opportunities, and it's kind of differentiated me in a bunch of different ways. And there's also times where I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Why did I allow myself to get distracted? And interestingly enough, just like drag it really quickly back to kind of like what I've been doing now is, since I started doing TM, Transcendental Meditation, last year, present that my wife actually got for me. She's been doing it for like 10 years. Wow. And some coaching that I've been doing, which is another story, which is really interesting. Not presiding over, but getting coached.
Right.
That I basically gave up all of my other hobbies to be on the path that I'm actually on now, which is making a feature film. I wrote a feature film at the end of last year, which was basically me just being like, kind of doing some soul searching, realizing what my dream always was, and getting back on that path. And I think that right now, it's interesting to hear about the drone stuff. And once again, like, I'm back at a place where I appreciate it, and I'm okay with it. It's not like I'm like, and I don't want to deal with it, but more that I appreciate it for what it was, understand kind of like what got me into it. And also now I'm in a new place where I'm like, okay, all of my other hobbies have like been passed, put on the side, and actually burnt in a semi-ritualistic way. I don't know if you know this. I mean, I was making a lot of noise with it last year, or for a year before that, where I was DJing. I got into like, actually, the drone thing brought me into shooting FPV footage, same kind of drone thing I shot for Post Malone, into the club scene in Manhattan and in Brooklyn. And I was all of a sudden, without kind of knowing anything about the EDM scene, I was flying drones around those clubs, like Brooklyn Mirage and Avant Gardner and like all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, yo, this is awesome. And because my wife's a DJ, I kind of just got into DJing, and I started doing it all the time. And I really enjoyed doing it. And then once I got back into meditation and I really kind of like went there with my coach, I realized that I needed to, especially because I enjoyed doing it, I needed to drop it. And I just did. I just killed it. I sold my gear, and I was like, wow. What I wanted to do is, I've always wanted to make feature films. And really, if you had asked me kind of like before I did that last year, I probably would have maybe not honestly, but honestly now I can tell you, I probably would have been on my deathbed saying, I wonder what would have happened if I had gone after my dream of making feature films. And now I'm dealing with all the harsh realities, and it is not fucking easy. Holy fuck. Sorry for all the cursing.
That's all right.
Right before I got on this call, I just had a meeting with a fellow director. I met him. He had a great film at the Coney Island Film Festival, which I have a film at right now. And I met him, and we had a meeting today, and he I sent him my script this afternoon, and he read it, and he was like, "Hey, do you wanna speak about this while it's still fresh in my head?"
Right.
And even though our time to be on was coming up very quickly, and I had to take care of my daughter and put her to sleep, I was like, yes, because I'm in the place where I'm just trying to take every opportunity, seize every opportunity, put nothing off to tomorrow, continue with extreme focus. And it was brutal, man. I mean, like, he is really very clued into all things when it comes to screenwriting. His film was amazing at the Coney Island Film Festival. He's made a bunch of other things. And I guess all this to say that the path to the dream, the path to doing anything really, but especially to the dream, is fraught with challenges that really require kind of like epic bravery, and epic bravery probably mixed with just random stupidity. You know, I mean, like, I don't necessarily need to give myself kind of like ridiculous credit for the whole thing. More that just, you know, it's been fraught with challenges and a lot of people that are, you know, kind of cloaked in this idea of like the reality of making feature films is this. It's so hard. It's now is so difficult. The onset of AI. I mean, like, the amount of people that I'm encountering on a daily basis, the amount of focus that I have to put in to not let that drag me to the depths of hell, you know,
Right.
profound, you know.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. No, but I mean, again, I feel like I'm kind of empathic, right? And it was the energy that I sensed in where you were at watching your videos, and you talking about where you're at with your film, and just everything that you just said. Don't you feel like everything that you've done in your life up until this point was actually preparing you for this? I mean, you know, I know you're saying you're giving everything up and you're stopping the things that you like, but don't you feel like that was a part of making you who you are, and bringing you to, even to the realization, like, holy shit, I have this dream that I haven't yet, you know, pursued, even though you know, I mean, because you were pursuing things all the time, all along the way, you were pursuing things, you know, got you to where you are.
I mean, I'll accept the romantic aspect of that. Like, I take that. I will take that.
Okay.
Do I believe that in my heart of hearts? I mean, like, the reality is that, by the way, I hate that fucking term, so sorry. I would like to apologize to myself for saying that and stop. But this is actually the case. The reality of the situation is that everything in my life thus far has prepared me for the situation that I'm in now.
Right.
That's just the facts, right? Whether that's good, bad, however you want to parse that out in terms of, is that positive, is that negative, whatever that means, that's just the case. Everything that I've done so far has brought me to this place and has prepared me, whether I'm ill prepared or not,
Right.
to be here for that.
Right.
You know, I can't help but think, you know, had I not gone into the drone space and somehow I had managed to get into the feature film world earlier, how far ahead would I have been now? Right. I don't know that that's really that positive of a mentality and that great to really think about, honestly. I think that's part of more of my old mentality, and something that my coach would tell me is just negative self-talk.
Right.
I think ultimately all of us are doing all the things we're doing all the time for who knows what purpose. And it's like, prepared or not, if you want to do something, just do it, you know? Right. And I think that that's part of the reason why I even speak to the YouTube channel, the one that you saw. For those of you that are watching that don't know, it's like on my YouTube page, I've been just talking, you know, I pick up my mic, which, you know, and I just talk to it about the things that I'm doing. The fact that I put it out there into the world for me is just more like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just kind of just doing it so that I can manifest it in some way, so that I.
Uh-oh. We have an issue. Maybe the dog did something.
That was crazy. Giant spider in my daughter's room. This is Zoe.
Hello, Zoe.
I'll be right back. I have to.
No worries. No worries. Go take care of Zoe.
Okay, baby. It's okay.
Aw. All right, Zoe saw a spider. It's all right. I'm gonna just mute. I'm gonna mute Randy. So I'm gonna share one of my favorite pieces of Randy's. Oh, I muted you, Randy. Okay, you're back.
I'm back. So,
All good. Is she okay?
Zozo, come here, baby. Come here. Let's just do this on camera, because why the fuck not? This is the.
I love it, dude.
Come here, baby. Come here, baby. No, I didn't. Okay. I gotta go take care of the spider. I'll be right back.
Go do it. I'm gonna show some of your work.
Baby, where is it?
All right. So Randy has to take care of something. Poor baby, she's terrified. So yeah, I'm gonna share Randy's. There's his page. I don't know if you're gonna hear this. I might have to share it a different way. Let me do that. Hold on and remove. Let me remove this. Stop screen. Present, share screen. I need to do a Chrome tab to get the audio. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Bear with me. No problem. I'm going to do this. Again, I've made myself a little production nightmare. Here we go. I'm going to share this Chrome tab. Here it is. Share. And there we go. And I'm going to hit play. This is a piece Randy did with the 360 camera. So one of the things that Randy was experimenting with that I love to work with the camera. And this was something he did for Advertising Week, which is
Lowe's and Home Depot both can't stand
huge magazine. I didn't know I'm going to have to do the commercial. Here we go.
This new
And
jet pressure accelerator harnesses the cleaning
amazing.
Take in case of emergency.
Hey, dude, get out of your head. That's awesome.
There we go. An incredible piece by Randy Slavin. I'm going to go back.
There's a new pet.
Hold on. I'm opening this in the other tab. Again, I put myself into a little production nightmare here, so I'm going to open this in the tab that's already open. Here's another little piece from Randy, the Chia Pet.
There's a new pet. Cheetos Pet, the pottery that grows. It's fun and easy. Soak your Cheetos Pet, spread the Cheetos seeds, keep it watered, and watch it grow. And now grow a whole collection of fun with Cheetos puppies, kittens, elephants, and even hippopotamus. Makes a great gift and an even better snack. Mmm, tasty. Cheetos Pets, the pottery that grows. There's a new pet.
Another great piece from Randy. And I think one of the things he was talking about, the film that is in the film festival right now, is called Crawl Space. And what's cool about this is Randy was approached by DJI, who is they make the drones, they make cameras, and he was asked to review one of their new cameras. They were coming out with a little action camera, and he was asked to review it. And he said, you know what, I don't necessarily want to review the camera, but send it to me and let me make something with it. And he made a short film, and I want to talk to him about it. I love what he did, because it's all about filmmaking. It's all about lighting. It's all about the shots. And he did this all with a little action camera. and it's just an amazing piece. I don't know if we'll get to see the whole thing, but I'm going to play it right now. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Here we go. So I don't want to. I don't know if I'm going to show the whole thing. I'll talk to Randy about it. Randy, I don't know if you're there. Come back into the room. Yeah, there he is.
I'm scared. There's a monster
So
in the
it's
attic.
just appropriate, I felt, to show this piece.
Nothing to worry about, honey.
Is everything okay? Oh, there we go. Your mic's back. Everything okay?
Yeah, dude. Are we on?
Yeah, we're on. We're still live.
This film is so appropriate because this film is all about the horrors of what it means to be a parent. Every time my daughter screams my name, it's like who knows what. And I don't know. Did you hear the terror that was?
I'm amazed that whole thing unfolded live. I saw the way you reacted to it. I heard the scream. That was pretty insane. That was
a fucking spider.
It's all good, man.
I swear, like as if there was like an axe murderer in the room.
It's all good.
Holy fuck! Watch for those of you that were watching and saw that shit unfold. Check out that film because that's exactly what it's about. Like the horrors of like what it means to be a parent, and like every time your kid calls your name, it's like who the fuck knows? You know? I mean,
What's going on? Yeah.
Want to hear like a crazy story about consciousness and about
Sure.
happened to me? I was sitting in this very chair a year and more than that, and I hear something that sounds like my dog choking. And I'm like, it just sounded too weird. And I go into the hallway and I'm listening and I still hear it. And I run into my daughter's room and she's having a seizure.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. And I was like, it was absolutely terrifying. I mean, like,
wow.
Absolutely terrifying. Fast forward, she's totally fine. And the crazy part about that, aside from the fact that it's just crazy anyway to be walking in on your daughter having a seizure. She never had a seizure before that. Nothing. Nobody in my family has seizure disorders. Nothing like that. Not good. But earlier that day, my wife and I had been fighting, and we went to go have dinner with a friend of ours who I hadn't seen in a long time. And during the dinner, we were at this like Mexican spot, and she was telling us all about her father passing away from COVID and all of this stuff about like her father and how her father was actually like communicating with her. Oh, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And then as she's talking about this, the bill comes and I'm playing with these like trouble dolls. You know, those little tiny dolls that come like, sometimes at like Mexican spots.
Yeah.
Playing with this trouble doll. And she keeps telling us about how her father's been like communicating with her and like in all these ways and whatnot. And we get back, my wife and I get back home, and Zoe was still not asleep yet. It was like 9 o'clock or something like that. And I go into her room and I put the trouble doll underneath her pillow. And then I go into my office right around it's the room next door. And I heard her having a seizure 15 minutes later.
Goodness. That's crazy.
Now, the interesting part about that, especially because we're talking about consciousness and the things we were talking about earlier, is it's like, do I believe in that stuff? I don't know. But I mean, that coincidence is certainly ridiculous to think about, you know? And by the way, interestingly enough, my wife had a meeting with somebody else like a week later, and this girl was telling her about this medium that she saw and that she was disappointed because the medium had nothing to tell her about her life.
Mm-hmm.
And when she told Julie the things that this medium had told her,
Right.
it literally, like, it was all of these things that kind of like super quickly, like very easily, not really super tangentially, were about the seizure and about the person we were meeting with, which is
Wow.
weird. And
Listen, and I'm glad that you're telling that story. I you know, like I said, I believe in energy, that there was something energetic about that. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you're open to the idea that that's the possibility, and that comes from experiencing something that's like you just can't explain. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, in any other way. But anyway, so I was talking a little bit about the 360 stuff that you did, and I showed the Adweek piece, one of my favorite pieces that you've done, and I also love that just came out of, like, you almost like you said, your love for toys, right? I love the 360 camera and the things that can be done with it, but you took it to this incredible other level. And maybe I could even share that. That's oh my god, I made myself a nightmare here. I'll share that one later. Alternate perspectives, the whole photography series that you did. You know, again, I just feel like, you know, not that I'm putting you up on a pedestal. It's just admiration and inspiration. You know, I love seeing people who do that, right? Because it inspires me to know that that's something I can do. And I've been playing with 360 cameras and doing all that kind of stuff too. I love it. Even the videos that you did, and I don't know, people aren't even really going to get this, but you did a series of videos which were just like a few minutes of a location with the 360 camera, and I just felt like it was so artistic. It was such a profound creation. You know what I mean? It was just like you captured this moment in time in 360 that somebody else can now go experience in their own way, you know, however they experience it. I just find it I find a lot of energy in what you do, and in the way of transferring energy from you creatively into your creation, and then now your creation exists as its own consciousness that interacts with whoever interacts with it, you know, whoever comes across it.
I appreciate you saying this, and I just appreciate you saying this. I think
Cool.
what helps, you know, kind of like, I guess, just my condition as a human. And interestingly enough, you know Justin Goodman. Justin Goodman's like one of my best friends for forever. You know, I mean, since we were kids in fourth grade.
Yeah.
And you know, Justin's always really good at kind of like, he's an amazing, like, very complimentary human, and that really, I find it like such an amazing salve, because as you bring these things up, like, I can see the negative self-talk in terms of like all of these projects that I've done, because you know, it's like when you bring something up, you say, oh, you had this experience with it, and I appreciate that. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
What I see on those fronts is kind of
Sure.
like the torture of, you know, having made them, and my attachment to kind of like their respective successes in their different ways, and even the ones that did do well or did get this, that, or the other thing. You know, it's like somehow during that time I was able to find ways of kind of just like, you know, seeing some sort of negativity in it, you know.
Sure.
I'm really just doing my best to kind of stay out of that mindset now, because I think that it's
Good.
You know, it's I don't know that negativity really helps anything.
Well, it's important, and that's really the basis of what we're talking about, Randy, is energy, right? And being accountable for it, right? And I love what you're saying. I'm so happy to hear that anything that I'm saying is getting in that way, right? And hitting you that way. And I want to go back to this. And I was talking about this when you were away, this film Crawl Space. I told the audience that you know, you were approached by DJI to review their product, and you said, no, I don't want to review it, but send it. I want to see what it can do. And as a filmmaker, and I'm telling you this also kind of so you can hear another perspective, as somebody who understands what goes into filmmaking, what you did here with this project, and just exploring the way that the camera responded to light. You know what I mean? Like light is such a crazy important thing in making films, and like it's very evident as someone who does that and knows the challenge of it, like what you did here. And I know that part of that was okay, you're stretching the limits of the camera to see what the camera could do, and part of it is, oh wow, the camera does a good job with the light, but not in the hands of someone who doesn't understand that that's what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? There's intention behind what you did here. And it's just, you know, again, when every time I watch this, I can appreciate it on that level. So I just really wanted you to know that.
God, hearing my daughter's voice in there is just like bringing me back to like what just happened here. It's like
this happened, right?
Torturous. You know, it's like, it's funny how every time you like open yourself up to like loving something in life, you really are just opening yourself up to like the most beautiful and the most scary, fucked up aspects of what life actually is. You know, it's like, it's really like, whether it's a creative pursuit or a love pursuit, it's like as soon as you open yourself up to that, it's like you have to deal with all the repercussions of what that means, you know. And it's like the loss and the fear, you know, it's like that's associated with all of it. You know, I think some of the bravery just has to do with almost being like I jokingly said before, but I mean is like just being like kind of a little bit stupid, a little bit dumb enough. Because I don't even think it's necessarily bravery. I think it's just like, hey, I just want to do these things, and it's like if I have to deal with whatever repercussions, I have to deal with them. And
I think it's authenticity. I think it's kind of back to that Bashar thing, right? Of what lights you up. You know what I mean? And I think all of the things. This is what I was talking about when I said all of the things that you did kind of led up to it, because they were all parts of understanding filmmaking. You know, like you learned really how to do that, you know, very thoroughly. You did a lot. You've done short films, you music videos, you know, all sorts of stuff, documentaries, news. You know, you had a piece that I hadn't seen when I was looking through your website that you did on the sound bowls. This woman just doing sound bowls, and it was just such a beautiful piece because you let me see if I could share that. I think just the way your vision, right? So you had this vision and this way of putting it together. Let's copy and paste it in here. I gave myself a nightmare here. Here we go. I don't know if people understand the challenge here of, hey, I want to make a video that shows what this is. Challenge, and you really captured such just amazing, so simple moments. Like you just created art.
I can't hear you so well.
Oh, sorry. It's probably ducking out the sound because of the microphone. You know, but what I was saying was you just took this moment of something so simple and created like this visual art that carries the energy of what Sarah was doing. You know, it's just really, you know, that's just, I know for me, you know, when I've taken photos of someone and they look at those photos and they're like, oh my God, you've captured me in such a way, you know, like there's my essence, you know, how rewarding that is. And I just think, like I was saying at the beginning, like everything you touch seems to be, you just have this innate ability to capture the essence of what you're going after.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Kudos.
I have to say, you know, it's like we both know the guys from Stage, and you know, for a while there in the 2000s, I went on like a musical tangent where I was like playing drums for my band Group Sounds that I made that music video for that takes place inside the vagina. I did that because I feel like, you know, I had always been shooting, but there was definitely a part of me that was shooting and it was just kind of like in love with music that I was seeing from Stage. There was a part of me that was just like, you know, during that time, I had still been directing things, but I was, you know, I almost like put the camera aside. I wasn't really shooting our practices, or I wasn't just like the guy with the camera in my hand. I was like, I really wanted to kind of try what that thing is. And I think that, I don't know, I think for me, I've always kind of like approached these kind of like things that I'm interested in from, it's almost like kind of like leading with your, I'm trying not to be vulgar, leading with your
Be as
loins.
vulgar as you want. I'm glad you said vagina.
It's like I feel like it's kind of a little bit like just what turns you on in a way that's like, like what really just turns you on and what makes you excited, is really important. And then just to put that into context a little bit with what I kind of said about the phase I'm in now is it's important to do that, but also understand, like, to have a longer game in mind, meaning that like, like ultimately you want to kind of keep a vision for what the bigger picture is. And I think that kind of stuff is really important, especially now, and I'm not sure whether it's just my age, I'm just like having lived a bunch of years at this point, and just understanding, okay, cool. Now I want to start focusing on kind of like bigger things, because I've spent a lot of time shooting a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of it has been very short form. And now it's kind of like, okay, cool.
I think that it's presented itself to you, which is really a blessing. Like, here you go. This is what you're doing next, and you bit into it, and you're holding it, and you're embracing it, and you're loving it right now, which is really, that's powerful. That's I think where everybody wants to be. You know what I mean? Even though it may not feel like it, and I know you get that too. You know what I mean? That it may not feel like it every day, but I know you're also very grateful to be where you're at doing this. As much of a struggle as it is, I mean, watching your videos and knowing the phone calls and the angst and the anxiety and all of that. But like I said, there's no doubt in my mind that whatever you're doing is going to be amazing. And I don't know how much you want to talk about it. If it's, I guess you're talking about it on your YouTube channel, but like, so, going after certain actors and things like that you're talking about, like, why the fuck not? Like, absolutely 1,000,000%. And you're, I can understand, because I'm a human, right? So I can understand being like, oh, is my work good enough? But coming from the outside looking in, you're at that caliber, you're at that level, you're ready, and whoever gets involved with any project that you do is going to be blessed to be a part of it.
I appreciate that. It's like it's not that I don't believe that. I hold that all the time in the best way that I possibly can, in the strongest way that I can. And more importantly, I just kind of like lead with my passion for the idea of what I'm trying to make, for the script that I wrote and the idea that I'm trying to go for with that. The challenge comes from holding on to that in the face of all of those people that tell you no, or apprise you of the reality, or, kind of like, in a way, kind of, I mean, like, it's I don't know that it's all malicious, I think, and a lot of it is kind of like, it's this kind of like devilish, like presenting somebody with what the reality is, it's like, I don't need to like sit here and tell you about what the reality is of podcasting,
Right.
Ultimately, it's, the reason why you should be doing it is for the love of what it is that you're doing.
Right.
And let that continue and persist, and
absolutely
do whatever you need to do in order to do that.
Absolutely.
So
can I respond to that? I feel like what it is we're all mirrors of each other. And I think people are responding to you with their own limiting beliefs. You know what I mean? They're oh, I would never be able to do that, or whatever it might be. I don't even want to extrapolate it out, right? But I feel like I wish we were all more aware of how we responded to other people when they're talking to us about things like their dreams, right? And yeah, okay, maybe I want to say, oh, you're not that good, or whatever it might be. Who the hell am I to say that to you about your dream? You know what I mean? And I think people should realize that. And you know what? I'm compassionate. I understand that we've all been kind of coated with layers of conditioning from society, and that's why people do respond the way they do. That's why people compare themselves to other people, and that's why people, have so much anxiety. And I think as much as you might feel like you're struggling with self-doubt and certain things and seeing your own flaws, I feel like you have, achieved a level of existing day to day beyond that, right? Past that anxiety that most people experience about who are they supposed to be. That's the whole idea of me saying, you know who you are. You know what I mean? You know who you are and what you want to do. And I think not a lot of people do.
I don't see it like that, but okay, cool. I'm with you. I'm like, look, I'm
not trying to kiss your ass or blow smoke up your ass, but
I understand. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying I know you're trying to plumb the depths of like what this all means, and I get what you're saying in that from the outside it looks like there's some fucking random reason to this whole shit that that's on this side of the screen, but like ultimately I'm just doing the same kind of bullshit that everybody else is, to whatever degree and whatever level that is. And the only reason why I'm saying that is just because I'm assuming that that's why people are watching this. Not to see me splay myself out, but just to understand that it's like, and even more to empower anybody that's watching this to just say that it's like whatever anybody else is imbuing on vision of me and my work and the things that I'm doing as some kind of like grand thing that I understand better than anybody else, it's fucking not. Okay. I am just doing things. I'm like, I was thrown into the deep end in the same way that everybody else was, and I'm just swimming the best way that I can. And it's like, to me, that just means, just doing all these things that people feel or don't feel any kind of way about. Some people are watching this and saying, hey, my work's better, fuck him. Some people are watching this and saying, wow, his work's amazing, and wow, I can never be that. And what I'm trying to say is really just like, there's not really much of a grand plan on my side. I'm working on a grander plan in terms of my particular dream, but even this is just like doing the best I can with all this. And it's like, I'm really only saying this not to even be self-deprecating, because I'm not trying to do that. I'm not playing that game. I'm not somebody that sits there and cries about it. I'm just trying to just do whatever kind of like makes me interested and also keeps my lights on in my house and able to survive.
Right.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think that's empowering. It's empowering to understand that it's like those that we lionize the most, those that seem like they have the best possible plan. For me, it's like Stanley Kubrick, but it's like there are many interviews you can watch with Stanley Kubrick where he talks about how, oh my God, I wish I had made more films and all this other stuff. And the interesting part about it is like, to be quite Shakespearean about it is like time and circumstance happeneth to them all. All of us are victims or benefactors of time and circumstance. You never know. Like, hey, you were into computers in like the, in the early 80s when you happen to be interested in that kind of shit, then congratulations. And you happen to seize upon that. I remember, by the way, very, very clearly, this kid named Jared Nussbaum. Do you know Jared Nussbaum?
Oh, it sounds vaguely familiar.
It's a kid I grew up with, in Dix Hills. And I mean, like, he was totally into computers back in the day. And I remember being like, nah. I remember him showing, like, I remember being like, I don't know, younger than my daughter's age now. Like,
right.
8, 9, and him showing me computers, and even my grandfather showing me computers. And I was like, nah, because who knows why? I mean, I was just fucking whatever, but time and circumstance happens to us all. And ultimately, I guess I'm really just saying that because to anybody that's watching that is looking for, motivation and all this kind of stuff, really the answer is just like do it and do it now, because whether you believe in the future of your soul or not, you only get one go round as this person that you are right this second.
That's it.
And there's no time to waste. And like you were saying, there's no wasted time before this. So just do what you want to do. And,
That's it,
and
yeah.
you know, thankfully, we actually do, as we, you know, to kind of like close the circle on what we started about talking about from the beginning. It's like we live in a time now where it's like more accepting of anybody in any incarnation now than we've ever been. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can identify as Barney the dinosaur, be any shape and size, and people
Right.
will be like, okay, cool, I'll call you Barney the dinosaur, and like watch your weird, you know, YouTube channel. Sorry to be judgmental if I said that's weird, but whatever the story is, however,
No, I
Barney,
totally get it. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
that's a gift, you know, even though we
Totally. And you know what, Randy, that's exactly why I'm here with you in this moment. You know what I mean? Because I love having these conversations. I decided, you know, I kind of stepped in front of the camera by accident. I was behind the camera like you know, much more comfortable there. And when I got in front of the camera, I was going through a bunch of different things, right? And you know, you talked to me 15 years ago, and I did not like people. I thought that 95% of the people that I met, and I'm sorry for my audience because I've been saying this story over and over, but 95% of the people that I met, I thought were complete morons. That like, you have no idea what it means to be a human being on a planet with other human beings. You're just in your own little thing, and that's what I felt, and that's what I got. That's what my experience was. When I realized that I was creating that experience by kind of expecting that, and I started seeing the good in other people, and kind of seeing myself in other people, and just understanding it on a bigger level, my whole experience changed, and it got much better. And I think that shift allowed for, when I got in front of the camera and started having these conversations, for it to be just very natural, and people were just like, oh, you should do that, you know. And here's the thing, like, I watch all of those podcasts I was talking about at the beginning, and they're like in a studio and, you know, nicely produced. And could I do that? Yeah, I do that stuff, but I chose to do this show here in my bedroom, you know, with my $99 wall and lights, and just have and focus on the conversations and focus on the moment of the interaction. And I don't care who thinks what about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm doing, and unapologetically. And you know, again, that's why you're here, you know, because I feel like you are the same ilk. And I just wanted to kind of celebrate you and what you do. So I appreciate you giving us your time. And I was going to ask you for some words of advice, but you did kind of wrap up with, you know, some words of philosophy and how you live and how you face the day to day. I guess the next question is going to be, what's going on with this movie? I guess people can check out your YouTube page. Can they get there from your Randy Scott Slavin website?
No, I think I'm just on YouTube. People can check it out.
Okay. Just Randy Scott Slavin.
My website is really kind of more like my directing
business. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like what I show to stay in the directing world. But look how beautiful this cat is, by the way.
Amazing. She's beautiful.
YouTube channel. However, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's kind of just where, like, you know, it's like the repository of just, you know, things,
yeah.
projects, and.
But we can keep up with where you're at with the movie here. You're making a movie, The Journey. You update that pretty often, it seems. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that more often, just to keep myself honest about it, and to, you know, speak it out. I mean, I feel like, you know, the thing that I would like to kind of say that's been really helpful for me personally recently has been meditation, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, daily meditation, just so important. If anything, to just to center the mind, so important. And then the coach that I've had has been really, really helpful. Just in terms of like keeping it's so easy to kind of like fall in with the bullshit that your different voices kind of say, and then to understand kind of like what the truth is, if there is a truth. I think Is it okay that I'm just taking it on this tangent for 1 second?
Randy, this is what it's all about. This show is all about this conversation.
So my coach, who I actually took from my wife had been telling me about this coach, and I was like, I need to talk to her. And what she did was she helped me understand kind of like the different voices in my head. One of them being like kind of like the lowest self, which is like your critic, and then your highest self, which is like your creative self at its best, your dreamer. And then kind of like the middle, which is more of like your advocate, the one that tells you that the reason why it's okay that you haven't been doing this stuff is because of XYZ. And understanding that kind of like the chatter that goes on inside your head is just bullshit. It's just it's not necessarily the truth. It's just some sort of voice that is just there. And once you can identify that and really understand and identify it, so that when you get into the negative mindset, that you understand that it's just a random voice that's just chattering. So anyway, between the meditation and kind of like the coaching, it's been really helpful and really good to focus on, kind of how to make things happen in the world that's more purposeful and less of just kind of like a victim of just kind of like what the bullshit is that's going on inside your head.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. And again, I was really happy to see it. And that's what made me reach out and say, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. I definitely want to talk with you more outside of this and, kind of talk with you about what you're doing. And what I do. I've been really wanting to work with you forever in any capacity, right? Because I think we both do so many different things. And I know you're focused right now on your movie, and I would certainly love to help in any way I could. But we can talk about that outside of this. But yeah, I thank you so much for your time. I don't feel like I even did justice to what I wanted to do, even though I know you feel like I was like holding you up on a pedestal. I just feel like you're somebody who's got so many layers and dimensions that are not, I don't want to put you up on the pedestal, right? I feel like what you're talking about with people in general is comes a lot from conditioning, right? The way we're raised with TV, and we've got to be beautiful, we've got to be thin, we've got to be rich, all of these kind of comparisons that we make. And I think that when you escape that, and you are going inside and you're looking inside for what you want to do and not outside, I think that you've successfully reached, at least some sort of plateau. And that's what I want to celebrate with you. So
I mean, look, I think a lot of that stuff is it's not that there's a solution to that kind of stuff. I think that we see the walls around us, and it's just kind of like how we approach those things.
Right. Right.
I think it's only kind of like what we are resolved to do or not resolved to do, the amount of effort that we want to put into those things, and then those things that we see around us. And by the way, they're only within the construct that we particularly see, because I don't see the world through your eyes. You don't see the world through my eyes.
Right.
We only see each other from behind this particular point of view. And it's interesting and weird and very specific. And I think that, I think the real thing is just that everybody should really do their best to kind of fight as hard as they can to just be alive and just to just justify who they are. Not that they have to justify it to anybody, but you kind of do, in the same way that it's like survival. That's kind of like where we're at in a way. It's like,
right. Well, to be the best you that you can be, right, and to be the most authentic you, I think. And that's what I try to do. I feel like that's what you try to do. You know what I mean? And like I said, I don't know how to wrap this up. I just feel like I want to talk to you. I just want to keep on talking to you, but we should wrap this up for the night. if people want to follow you on your YouTube channel and the adventure that you're on, and that your catalog of backwork is amazing to peruse. There you go. The website's at the bottom of the screen. Let me put you in the back room and just sign off the show. And don't go anywhere because I do want to talk to you. But thank you again for being here. I really do appreciate your time, man. And tell your daughter I said thank you for lending your presence to us in her time of need.
That fucking happened on camera. Oh my god,
it's awesome. I'm gonna go back and watch it. It was exciting.
terrifying.
It was the action movie sequence.
In her room. I had no clue what to. I literally expected that. Can I tell you one more story about what last time that happened? Last time, this happened so many fucking times. I'm sitting in here, and I go into the other room for some reason. I don't know why. I just had this feeling. I go into her room, and the cat, the one I just showed you, was hanging by her neck.
Oh my god.
With this fishing pole that I had that I was playing with her with, and was hanging by her neck. And I was like, oh my god! I grabbed her and I unwrapped it. And I was just like, and she was fine. I mean, obviously she lived.
Right.
But, just terrifying. So when I heard that scream, I was like, it's I can't tell you the terror. I mean, I had to grab a beer downstairs. I was like,
interesting.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks to everybody that watched. I hope this is semi-coherent. You got something out of it. I wish you all the most bravery in your, time on this planet, and you have the most fun and are enjoying yourself the best you can. And if you're not feeling brave, then just fucking do it anyway. Who gives a fuck? For real, who cares? Who fucking cares?
For real.
Do your thing and enjoy yourself, and best to all of you. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to put you in the back. Oh, man. I got to decompress. That was pretty intense for me. I got to tell you, that was pretty intense because I haven't spoken to Randy in a long time, and I didn't know what to expect. And my guests are usually a little woo-woo, and I was glad that it was not. I thought that was a great conversation. And Ninja Kitty always out there rooting for me. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. Tim, thank you also for being here. And Ninja Kitty's thanking Randy. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Again, I feel like this is growing. Things are happening. And I'm just going to keep doing it. And I think I get to meet my heroes. I get to have conversations with people that interest me. So I feel like I'm actually shaping my own reality when I do this. So thank you guys for being a part of it. I will see you guys next week. And until then, peace.
This is the theme song for the live stream of consciousness. You gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream. Aren't you a dream reality? We're all a part of the answer to the meaning of